So again, you're taking care of baby, so we're here and all about taking care of you. So today is a fun one. Um, when I talk to moms and, they're saying, hey, I really want to get connected with other moms. I was in the workplace before and I just don't know where to go. I'm trying to figure it out. A lot of times I'll start giving them ideas, and the first thing they say is, well, I don't have that amount of time. I just don't have time. And while I understand that feeling because I felt like that at the beginning, I want to challenge you to maybe be open and try new things. And so this is really around month 2, month 3, is when I started researching and figuring out, so what are some different things that I can go do to get out of the house with baby and also connect with others. So I do have a list because I have 10 ways to free up time as a new mom, and especially for moms who are interested in wanting to build a village. And again, when I say village, I'm not necessarily meaning what a village might have looked like 20 or 30 years ago. If you can find that, that's great. But in some of the larger cities, and at least with my experience here in Dallas, you're not always around people who are in the same phase of life, down the street, so to speak. I'm also talking about building a support system that you can rely on during the week. And really, let me just say it, in terms of how I viewed it. For me, building a village was building a support system that I could rely on during the week without having to rely on my husband or family. That was the key, because on the weekend, people were more available, my husband was available, but during the week, a lot of people are at work. So how do I find and build and create that support system, and where do I even go to look? So I do have some vlogs already on how to build a village, so feel free to check those out. So this vlog, the purpose of this vlog is really for that mom who's saying, okay, yeah, great, Carrie, that all sounds fine and wonderful, but I just really don't have the time to go and do that. I want to connect with other moms. I feel like I'm, isolated and at home, but I just don't have the time. So here's what I want to challenge you with. So 10 ways I used to free up my time as I started to go out and experiment and try different things. So the first way is this tip was given to me actually before I had my son by another mom. And it's funny because when she said it, we were having lunch. And when she said it, I just didn't think much of it. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. She said, use Amazon for everything. Everything. And at first, I just thought, oh, okay. But after I had my son, and when you need to go to Target or you need to go to a store, or let's say you go to a store and they're out of what you need, well, now you have to go to another store with a baby. And some moms I've run into, yes, they exist. Some moms actually love going to Target with their baby, and it's actually an outlet for them. So if it's an outlet for you, feel free to do it. If it's draining and you feel like you're running around and not really getting anything done, and you feel like you just don't have time to go research and meet up for mommy groups and find ways to get that support, I recommend using Amazon for everything. This was very helpful for me. 2, do one sweep of cleaning around your house at 4 p.m. or start an hour before your significant other comes home. The reason for this is there was a point where I had been cleaning. My son was a little bit older, and it was 4 o'clock and my husband was going to be coming home, and I realized that I had just picked up the same toy for the 3rd time in a day. And I was just like, this is crazy. This is crazy. I am cleaning up and repeating the same thing throughout the day. So one thing that was very helpful for me, and yes, you're just going to have to withstand having a messy home during the day, but try to hold off on cleaning and just do one big sweep of the whole house at 4 p.m. That was very helpful for me. So tip number 3 I used, and this one's gonna sound crazy, don't freak out, it's just temporary. But the third one is turn off social media. So if you are feeling like you don't have the time to go out and get those connections, find those connections and get support, and also, give support to others, just so if you're feeling that way, I know it sounds crazy, but I want to encourage you to turn off social media. So one thing that was happening was during the day when, my son was taking a nap or I had a little bit of a break, I would jump on to try to see what the rest of the world was doing. And I would just end up scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And one thing that I found was I end up wasting a lot of time. Like I could have used that time to see what's in my area and, pick myself up by my bootstraps and, seek out and get that connection and get that support. If you don't have a village, the last thing you want to be doing is looking at all the other moms who have a village and looking at their pictures. I mean, that's the last thing I wanted to be doing. And you really can't compare yourself to other moms in that situation. And so that is why I have for number 3 to turn off your social media if you're struggling to find time to go build a village. I do believe it's a time saver and it'll help just from a mindset standpoint. So tip number 4 is nurse and feedings in the car parking lot before your activity. So again, a lot of moms, even moms that I was meeting up with at meetup groups, the time doesn't always work with everybody's schedule, and maybe the baby sleeps a little bit later or the feeding went later and they end up missing it, and then they come in and they're disappointed and they've only been able to be there for 20 minutes. So one way I overcame this was I started to go to whatever activity, like let's say I'm meeting up with a mom at Starbucks or I'm going to a mommy mixer. I would, and it's, before when my son needs to feed, I would drive to the location, get there early, 30 to 40 minutes early, and I would nurse in the parking lot. That way, when you're done, you may have to do 1 or 2 other things, but you are already there. And that really optimizes your time of getting to spend time with other people. So tip number 5 is choose activity. I chose activities around my child's nap schedule. This is hard because like I said, not everything's going to sync up with the schedule, the baby's schedule. And so some things you may have to say no to, there were some things that I tried to push it with my son and it threw him off of the schedule. And to be honest, then it wasn't worth going to that specific activity because then he was just not in a good mood and it was difficult to have build connections and talk with people. So I really did try to stick with activities around his schedule. Tip number 6 is I decluttered my home. And if you have not heard of Marie Kondo, her book has been out for a while. I definitely recommend, it's a really great read. Maybe you have Audible, check it out on Audible. So tip number 6 is I decluttered my home. Tip number 7 is find ways to feel better and uplift your mood. So one of the ways I did this was I stepped up my game and I graduated. And again, this was more months 2 to 3 months with the baby. I stepped up my game and graduated from wearing pajamas all day, which yes, that was wonderful, but to wearing activewear and trying to wear some sort of normal clothes. But you're busy, so activewear was my go-to. So tip number 8 is simplified my wardrobe. This was a big one, um, which I loved. Tip number 9 is I simplified my home and found pleasures in my home. Tip number 10 is I combined activities. So, a lot of things we have to do on a daily basis, laundry, cleaning, things like that. So one way that I would try to have an outlet or learn about different ideas, maybe on YouTube or podcasts, maybe I would combine videos while I'm doing laundry. I would watch videos while doing laundry. I would listen to podcasts while cleaning. So, there are a lot of great mom channels out there. I've learned so much from other fellow moms, Mina Irfan, the Universe Guru, as well as the Daily Connoisseur. Jennifer L. Scott, she has a couple of books that I absolutely love and I recommend to lots of moms that I run into. So there's just lots of different resources out there for us ladies, and I just want to encourage us to find ways to free up time to help uplift our spirit, get into healthy mindset, take care of ourselves so we can take better care of our baby, and also find ways to build our village. So again, I'll recap one more time. So 10 ways to free up time. 1, use Amazon for everything. 2, do one sweep of the house when cleaning at 4 p.m., really just at the end of the day versus re-cleaning and picking up the same toys over and over and over. Or just pick an hour before your significant other's going to be home. 3, turn off social media. Don't freak out. I'm just recommending temporarily. And this is just to help you free up your time during the day to go out and find these resources and connections in your area. Tip number 4, nurse and feedings in the parking lot of the activity. Tip number 5, I chose activities that worked around my child's nap schedule and feeding schedule. Tip number 6, I decluttered my home. Tip number 7, feel better. I stepped up my game. One of the ways I did this is I graduated from wearing pajamas every day to wearing activewear. Tip number 8, I simplified my wardrobe. Tip number 9, I simplified my home and found pleasures. And tip number 10, I combined activities. So those are the 10 ways that I use to free up my time to help build my village so I could take better care of myself, so then I could better take care of baby. All right, hope this helps. Until next time, bye.